There are moments in life when, completely without warning, reality crashes into you. An illness, an accident, or a sudden economic collapse shatters the stability you previously relied on, forcing you into an immediate, chaotic mode of pure survival. But the acute phase of a crisis is relatively brief. The hardest psychological work begins after the dust settles. The adrenaline fades, the responders leave, and you are left staring at the quiet vacuum of a Tuesday morning, where daily life must somehow resume. Cultural myths often frame this recovery as a binary choice. You are either permanently damaged, or you have returned to your old self. Data on human recovery suggests a different structure. When a crisis fractures your timeline, your trajectory splits into exactly 3 distinct tracks, one angling downward, one moving perfectly flat, and one curving upward. Navigating the aftermath of a disaster requires an active choice between these 3 specific paths. Let's zoom in on this lowest track first. This is the worst-case scenario following a crisis. Psychologists refer to this path as reintegration with loss. It is often triggered by falling into 3 specific cognitive traps, known as the 3 Ps. Permanence, the belief that the pain will last forever. Pervasiveness, the assumption that every single aspect of your life is ruined. And personalization, the heavy burden of blaming yourself for the disaster. When those 3 beliefs take root, the long-term outcome is severe. The individual becomes trapped in a psychological state of persistent anger and self-pity, leading to a shrunken worldview where they feel entirely isolated. Moving up to the middle path, we find the trajectory that society typically expects us to achieve. This is the baseline return. On this track, you survive the tragedy. Your physical wounds heal, your bank account eventually stabilizes, and on paper, you look exactly like the person you were before the event occurred. You remain psychologically unchanged. The baseline return fulfills the need for stability, but it leaves the individual's core beliefs and coping mechanisms exactly as they were before the trauma. The pain was endured, but it wasn't integrated into a new understanding of the world. That brings us to the third and most counterintuitive environment. Notice how this top track actually surpasses the original baseline. This is resilient reintegration. Reaching this level requires a conscious choice to become an active participant in reality, rather than a passive observer. To process the intense emotional chaos on this path, you need a structured framework called RADAR, which stands for Reflect, Describe, and Respond. The first 2 steps, reflecting and describing, force you to pause and articulate your exact emotions without judgment. Suppression of negative emotions that usually derails recovery. The final step, responding, takes the data you gathered and uses it to replace panic with deliberate agency. Instead of reacting on autopilot, you choose a thoughtful action based on your actual capabilities in that exact moment. However, processing emotions is only half the equation. You have to pair these analytical tools with the daily physical practice of building self-efficacy, the realistic belief that you can accomplish difficult tasks. You build that self-efficacy through 2 very specific actions. First, cataloging your past survival successes to prove to yourself that you have endured hardship before. Second, finding just one small, actionable thing you can control today, even if it's as simple as completing a minor chore. Setbacks on this upward path are entirely inevitable. When trying to rebuild healthy habits, many people fall prey to the abstinence violation effect. This is the impulse to abandon all your progress and give up completely, simply because you experienced one minor failure or relapse. Treating a lapse as a predictable obstacle, rather than a catastrophic failure, keeps the entire recovery process from collapsing. You accept that you are human, deploy your coping mechanisms, and get back on track the next morning. Resilient reintegration is a gritty, mechanical process of emotion regulation, daily locus of control, and rigorous failure management. When we step back and look at the long-term psychological landscape of someone who has successfully navigated this upward path, a distinct pattern emerges. Researchers observe a striking psychological paradox in these individuals. Despite enduring severe trauma, they frequently report feeling a deep, unexpected sense of gratitude. This gratitude reflects the specific skills acquired and the resilience forged because the situation demanded it. It is centered on the new identity developed to survive the crisis. While genetics and history always influence mental well-being, this trajectory is built on practiced behaviors, skills like self-reflection and value alignment that can be developed by anyone willing to do the work. Surviving a crisis lets us take the broken pieces and consciously build a self that is stronger and more adaptable than what existed before.